was kind of searching for stories along the theme of just hotel horrors, but I found most of them to be about hauntings, so I just went with it, and here we are. So as always, grab something yummy to eat, something cozy to cuddle with, and without further ado, let us get right into it and get to ASMRing. So this first story is on the Reddit page Tales from the Front Desk, which I thought was kind of a cool page, and it is by Mr. Snowflake 2. And it's titled, I Worked in a Haunted Hotel. Alright. If you don't believe in ghosts, I totally respect that. To be honest, before I worked at this hotel, I wasn't sure what I believed in myself. When I was 19, I worked as a night auditor at a 4-star hotel in my hometown. I am not naming the hotel because they aren't out about being haunted. If I'd have known, I don't know if I would have applied to work there, especially at night. When I was hired, I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement stating I couldn't talk to anyone, especially the media, about my experiences on the job. I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assume all hotels have something like this. I have no idea. I want to say no. On my first night, aka my training shift, I was taught that 2 to 3 times a night we were supposed to walk around the hotel. The hotel was so small that the night auditor doubled as night security. As for some context, each hallway had these beautiful floor-length mirrors at the end of the hall. The person training me advised me not to look into the mirrors while I was walking around, because if I saw something, I wasn't allowed to scream. This advice seemed harmless enough. I would be like, what? On my third night shift, I happened to be sitting at the front desk with my trainer, and we had a good view out the front door. The parking lot was well lit. Suddenly, movement caught the corner of my eye. A child-sized, red-cloaked figure quickly came into view. As they walked by, they turned to look into the glass front door. Words don't do the face justice. Let's just say it wasn't the face of a living, breathing child. I sat there stunned, unable to process what I just saw. I was just about to open my mouth when I looked over to my trainer, who was staring open-mouthed. She barely uttered, "Did you see that?" A long time passed of us just being quiet. Things were super awkward and uncomfortable for the rest of the shift. My trainer quit the moment the morning manager came in. She kept repeating that she had seen enough. The next night, the manager herself agreed to change her schedule to finish my training. We got along really well, and we some of the more tenured day staff actually had a betting pool about how long people would last. She reluctantly went on to explain why. The backstory is the hotel started life as a mill in the mid-1800s when the town was founded, and remained so until after World War II. In the 1940s, there was a tragic accident where a little girl fell down the elevator shaft, and her grandfather and her dog fell to their deaths trying to save her. My heart. This was actually part of the reason the mill was shut down. It was left empty until it was turned into a hotel in the 1970s. Since then, they have been quietly plagued by numerous ghostly encounters. The owners of the hotel didn't want this advertised because they were trying to project the image of a 4-star hotel, not a haven for ghost hunters. Her words. She said that apparently the old man ghost was at peace and hadn't been encountered since the mid-90s. I worked there in the mid-2000s. Aside from occasionally hearing unexplained barking noises coming from 2 specific rooms, which interestingly enough were on the top floor on either side of the elevator shaft. The dog wasn't making many appearances either. The little girl ghost was the only one who was active. Interestingly enough, that manager, who'd been there for about 5 years, quit 3 months later when she was working late one evening and kept hearing a child's laughter. When the hotel was mostly empty and there were no children staying in the hotel, I made it 6 months. Oof. Part of me is kind of sad that the dog isn't roaming around the hotel. I would love that, don't we all? I think we all expect our pets to be there with us in whatever afterlife we believe in. That's my hope. I would love to see my pets again. That's really sad. I'm so sorry for those of us who have lost pets. That's what stuck out to me, was the dog trying to save her. But yikes, that's terrifying. No. Children walking around, laughing. There's a reason why there are so many scary movies with creepy children's laughter. Okay, this next one is by South Dakota Driver, and it is titled Seriously Haunted Hotel. Alright, let's see their experience. So it begins. So this tale takes place way back in the before times, even further back to ancient times, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was a shiny new FDA of 3 or 4 years and my very first ever night audit job. So we're talking early 1990s. Alright. I had a close friend who was HHK at a Nights Out hotel. I don't know what that means. Head Hotel King. I don't know what that means. I much of NA night audit. But when a friend told me her boss was in a fix and desperate to fill the shift, plus the fact that she had recommended me, plus the wage being paid for a night audit, I literally jumped in my car and flew to the hotel to apply. Got the job. OMG, happy dance in the parking lot after receiving the job after. The first night training with the part-time night auditor, I was given a lot of info, maybe 60% useful standard training on night auditor duties. The rest, well, my guy was what one might call slightly off. I mean, like some pretty intense, paranoid, scary stuff. So I chose to nod and look as if I were processing this nonsense. Didn't want to cause issues with a coworker and really wanted / needed to succeed at this job, as at the time I was a flat broke single mom trying to get by with zero help, and this was a really high paying job at the time. One of the many strange tales he told me had to do with how the full-time NA position, night auditor, had become available. According to him, one dark and stormy night, former NA girl arrived as usual, put away her purse and coat, and went for a quick smoke with a PM, FDA. During smoke break, NA girl mentioned some strange and random events that had occurred and expressed that things were starting to freak her out pretty badly. Things like weird noises, stuff in the laundry and breakfast area being moved around when no one was there, etc. Weird stuff continued. NA girl became more freaked out until one day shift arrived to find FD, front desk. Just figured out what that meant. To find front desk unattended. A search by FD and HSK, head, I don't know what that means, I'm sorry, was conducted. NA girl was nowhere on the property. Her car was gone, but she'd left her coat and personal belongings behind. My thought was, had she been kidnapped during a robbery? No. All money accounted for. No indications of anything unusual. Just a missing night audit person. I need to mention for the younger ones, under 50, that in the old days, it was not usual for businesses to have surveillance cameras, so there was no video to review to find out what the heck happened. Police were not called, as the general manager decided that NA girl had simply abandoned her job mid-shift. Unfortunately, a thing like that does happen. So, weird part-time dude tells me this story, I guess in an attempt to frighten me, but having been a lifelong believer in the supernatural and the home I grew up in being haunted, I wasn't overly concerned. Plus, the fact that Mr. Paranoid expounded at length about government conspiracies, aliens living in his trailer park, men in black following him around the grocery store, yada yada, I basically nodded and forgot the whole thing. Until one dark and stormy night, by myself, having graduated training, I entered the pool area to replace laundry cart full of towels into the pool area, heading for the closet where towels were stored. The lights were off, except for the small emergency lights by the exits. Main door opened next to the front desk, plus a permanently locked fire door leading to our parking lot. I pushed my cart of towels to the closet and began stacking them on the shelves. My back was to the pool. Suddenly, I heard a very loud splash, the noise unique to when someone cannonballs into the deep end of a pool. Someone is in the dang pool. Oh my gosh, boss is gonna be mad. I spun around, expecting to confront one or more kids messing around. Nope. No one. No kids. No adults. Not even a mouse. I momentarily questioned my sanity and hearing, but quickly noticed the water in the pool was moving, as it does after someone jumps in, and the pool deck at the deep end was wet. Oh, heck no. I realized the hair on the back of my neck was standing straight up, and I had goosebumps in places where goosebumps should never be found. I ran, not walked, the heck out of the pool area and waited for the newspaper delivery guy to show up with papers for our guests. I told you, this was in ancient times. We actually had newspapers that we delivered to the rooms. From that night on, I never went into the pool area until newspaper guy arrived and escorted me in to put clean towels away and take away dirty ones to the laundry. I've got many more spooky stories from that property, but this post has already become way too long. We'll tell these stories in another post. That is terrifying. Oh my gosh. I don't know about y'all. I think I've talked about this before, but like when we get scared, we all kind of have different reactions or responses based on our like fight or flight. This actually happened recently the other night because the power went off suddenly, and I was sitting right next to my sister, and her reaction is to fight. Like, she's ready to go. She gets up, her body is like, action, let's go, when scary things happen. And mine's the exact opposite. I completely freeze. My body shuts down and I can't move. This happens a lot with earthquakes too. I hate earthquakes. And they don't happen that often, but I mean, they happen. And I have to actively work against my body's response to just freeze. I'm like, what are they, possums? And they play dead. I don't do that, but my body is frozen. I literally can't move. It's so annoying sometimes. And I feel like that would be me in a moment like that. Like if I turned around and heard water and then I saw it moving, I would be frozen. And I would have to like actively talk to my body and be like, come on, run, let's go, because I freeze. I don't know. That's just me. I kind of wish I like was like more of a flight person. Like, we run. My body just doesn't do that. In some instances it does, but I feel like that in an instance like that, I would be frozen in place. I would be a statue. It would take a lot out of me to be like, come on, go, run, let's go. So that's terrifying. this one is from the Reddit thread or page Ghosts, and it is by Hopeful Pay 9339. And this one is titled Ghost Experience in Hotel Turned Me into a Believer. So this is an experience I had in 2018 when I was a management trainee with an organization, and it entailed a short 1 or 2 week stint across their major offices in different cities. Our office organized for accommodation for us too. For my second stint, I was put in a city where I had never been before and had no friends or acquaintances. So, the company booked a hotel close to the office premises. The room was rather big and seemed quite luxurious, albeit a bit old and shabby. What stumped me the most was how economical it was. The first night was uneventful, and for a woman traveling alone for the first time, it felt secure and comfortable. The second night, at about 9:30 p.m., I ordered in, and after finishing my dinner, I went out of my door to place the food trolley for collection by the staff. Just when I turned around to close my door, I saw someone staring at me from the corner of my eye. The person was at the end of the corridor, and it was very dimly lit. Let me add here that only 2 out of the 20 rooms on the floor were occupied, and 10 were being renovated. Hence the dim lighting at night. When I turned to look, the person ran out of view towards the elevator. I was creeped out and locked the room and reported this to the reception desk. The third night, I was talking to my mom on a video call and heard heavy pacing and running at about 10 or 10:30 p.m. My mom heard it too. Dang, it was loud. I sneaked to the peephole and saw no one, but I heard the footsteps right outside my door. Called reception, and they sent someone to check, who reported that there was no one. And I checked their CCTV footage. No one was there. Fourth night, I got a call on the hotel intercom, and when I answered, I heard only heavy breathing and low growling noises. I don't know why that scared me so much. This continued another 2 times before I called the reception again to raise a complaint. They checked their call panel records and said I had not received calls from any current hotel guest or staff lines. I checked again next morning just to be sure, and they showed how the system is automated and no one can tamper with it. It showed no incoming or outgoing calls from my room. Fifth night, heard a constant knocking on the wall behind the bed, and it moved across the room. This creeped me out much more, and as someone diagnosed with hyperanxiety and depression, don't really know what hyperanxiety is, but okay. It felt like I was losing my mind, and I got an anxiety attack. I'm so sorry. I ran out of my room to was extremely upset. Yeah, I would be too. I questioned everyone around, and none of the staff said anything and said it was strange such things were happening. Later, a woman from my hometown, who was currently employed there, accompanied me to a new room they assigned me to. She told me in private that the floor I was on was sealed for 5 years and had recently been opened. Rumor has it that some old hotel staff had harmed, I can't say the word on here, but essentially had harmed a woman, and she was killed in the struggle. The administration covered it up, of course, and paid off the perpetrator and family of the victim and sold this property to the current owners. Since then, people have reported multiple occurrences on that floor. Also, these were major events. Some other small things happened, like the feeling of being watched constantly, cold spots, and feelings of nausea and panic. I checked out promptly the next morning and got another hotel, paid from my pocket, and have since then been extremely scared and anxious to be alone in any hotel room. Wow, I am so sorry that happened to you, and I'm so sorry you don't feel comfortable staying in hotels anymore. That is so scary. I don't know why that one, like, ew, it's awful. And of course, a crime like that's gonna be covered up. Obviously, it always is, right? Wow. Oof. The growling noises, like, my faces in this video are probably hilarious if paused right. I make a lot of faces, I know, especially when I'm scared or creeped out. Yeah, okay. I think we have time for one more, maybe two more. Yes, okay. So, this next one is by Who Brought Their Cat. And it doesn't have a title because it's on kind of a question of someone asking for hotel ghost stories, and this is a reply to that. So it starts. I covered a few night audit shifts when our full-time NA person needed an operation. The first nights were fine, minus the 4 a.m. drowsiness. Well, the third night took a weird turn. Around 2 a.m., nature called, and against my best wishes, had to take a toozy at work. I've never heard of that, a toozy. I went across the hall to the 2 bathrooms we have by our lobby, which is also in front of a motion captured camera. Important later. As I was tending to my business and browsing Reddit, probably, I had a very loud and fast knocking on the bathroom door. It would have scared the bejesus out of me if I wasn't already taking care of that situation. Occupied, I stated, right next to the one I was in. The door was propped slightly so I could see it was not being used. I was beyond confused. To stifle my own curiosity, I pulled up the camera to see who was pounding on the door and why they couldn't just use the other one. I saw two recent events. One event was me entering the bathroom. The second event was me leaving the bathroom. Nothing else activated the motion activated camera. It was at this point I was severely spooked. I am a 6'1", 265-pound man, and I sat in that back office with a broom handle for the remainder of my shift with the doors locked. Fun fact, this was about a week after I did a welfare check on a guest and found them deceased. So I like to think Ralph was coming by to scare me. Because why not, right, Ralph? Wow. Yikes, that's creepy. And how vulnerable when you're using the bathroom. That's quite comical. Yeah, that's also like a fear of mine, I guess, in a weird way. Like showering or like using the bathroom when something creepy like that happens, or I guess more realistically, like an earthquake happens or the power goes out. How scary. Like you're showering and then it's just pitch black, or you're showering and then you're shaking. That's so scary. Oh, yeah, that's terrifying. That was a good one. Thank you for sharing. I'm curious to know if they still work there, or how long they worked there. Alright, let's do one more. This one is by Of Balance, and they say, my significant other was site manager on a castle restoration in the Highlands of Scotland. That's cool. The new owners were restoring areas that had fallen into ruin and updated 10 rooms for a luxury bed and breakfast accommodation. Several of his work crew had enough of lodging at the castle by week 2. At night, their doors were knocked on. No one was there. The sounds of a child crying were what freaked out some of the guys the most. There weren't any children staying there. My significant other said he also heard the noises and crying, but just turned his TV on, then went back to sleep. Oof. Brave person. A father and son, who were both carpenters, left the job early. The son started screaming one night because a large mirror that had been hung on the wall 5 feet from the bottom of his bed fell on his bed in the middle of the night. He was shaken but unharmed. He spent the rest of the night in his dad's room. They left the next day. My significant other worked and stayed at the castle for a couple of weeks each month for another year. Though whenever I visited with the kids, he always insisted we all stay at the local pub/hotel rather than the castle. The castle has a strange history. It was built on profits from the opium trade. During World War II, it was used as a naval hospital. A decade later, it was a girls' boarding school. Wow. Creepy. Very, very creepy. And I will say, there's a lot of sounds happening around me tonight, and a few of them I can't fully tell. They're just very amplified because I have my earphone in, visualize everything. But, yeah, a few of them scared me. I'm like, what the heck is that? I had to stop for a little bit and like, there's no one here, right? Yikes. Okay. So I'm a little creeped out myself. I am going to go to sleep now. I hope you all are fast asleep. If you're not, I hope you are not too freaked out like I am a little bit right now. Not gonna lie. And thank you so much for being here with me